All right, the video's finally here, everybody. The Swordman Electra 55, color Carmen, against the Allett Stirling-51. This really isn't a competition to me. These are two different types of machines. Yes, they're real mowers. Yes, they're meant for residential, but I'm gonna go over it. I have a bunch of notes here of pros and cons of each. And my 40-year-old mind is not going to let me remember all this stuff, so I had to write it down. I'm going to be going over this list through it, so I know it's not professional, but I'm not a real reviewer or commercial maker. So I'm going to be going over this. This is a real video. I bought both of these, and I'm going to be doing some demonstrations with both. And hopefully this will help you decide whether to buy this machine or that, because these things are freaking expensive. Okay, first up, we have the Swordman Electra 55. Going by my notes, this right here is the quietest machine on the market. This thing is unbelievable. I can't even tell you, when I first bought my Allett, I had a Liberty 43, I have now the Stirling, and then I bought this thing. This is what I thought a electric real mower should sound like. This is unbelievable, and I'll be showing you in a little bit. So another one, this is an all metal design. Everything on here is metal. Whereas over here, we have some plastic pieces here. And when you're spending this kind of money, people were like, oh, well, I'm gonna spend all this money and get plastic. You know, I understand it, but you know, it's durable, it's fine. Both of them have these thick reels. The reel on the Swordman is thicker than the Allett, but yeah, they're both thicker. My Liberty was a lot thinner, and when you compare them to you know, some of the other Greensmasters and stuff that I've seen, I haven't seen any of the new Greensmasters, but these blades are extremely thick. The cut's nice, and it stripes beautifully. You know, there is one problem though with that. We're getting up to the cons, but also this right here, this is the best looking machine out there, in my opinion. This is I decided to, you can get it in any color you want, and I like this baby blue color. And, you know, this is a good looking machine, don't get me wrong. This thing looks mean, but this thing's pretty. This thing's really pretty. Okay, a con here with the Electra, or Swordmans in general. This grass box catcher thing blows. It's all metal, and I've seen in forums and, you know, talking with other people, you bump into this thing into the wall, it dents, it scratches, you know, and you know, it's such a pretty machine. You're like, oh, you're trying to not scratch it, make it, oh, whatever. So this thing also, it's like a huge nose on it. So like when cutting, it's just kind of like awkward, you know. So like I don't even really use this thing, but yeah. And when you are trying to dump it, there is this lip right here that goes inside and around. So when you're dumping it, clippings all hide in there, and you can't get everything out. You gotta like tip it upside down, shake it, all this other stuff. Whereas the Allett is a mesh, and it just like, you see, you know what I mean? It's like, it's light, it's real easy. So second on the list, the rear drum. So when transporting this thing, as you can see here, I use the transport wheels, and it's funny looking, but when I purchased this from Lanzi, they were putting this on there as standard because this drum gets dented really bad, and there's things in the forum of Swordman on Facebook where their drum is splitting and breaking, and you know, you want to get transport wheels. So this thing does not touch the cement. Both of my drums don't touch the cement, but I mean, because I can't stand the sound, but there's been talks of how this thing can break. It's not very strong, whereas the Allett's is like a thick piece of metal. Storage is another con. There's a cable that runs through here. Yes, you can disconnect it, but who wants to do all that and take apart all these screws? You know, so it's basically just going to stay like this. And if you were to put the catcher on there, because otherwise you're going to have to put this on another shelf somewhere. But, you know, this is the size of the machine. It's this big. So you got to use up other shelf space for this. And then now this stores in the garage like a normal lawnmower. Whereas for the Allett, when we come over here in comparison for storage, this is at max capacity here. We are going to shrink this thing down like this. This comes up, and then now I take my catcher and set it on top. So as you can see, we can take this thing and hide it in the corner up against the wall. So, you know, I don't mow year round, so this thing hides in the corner of my garage, whereas the Swardman has to sit out and it takes up over double the space. So now over to the Allett. One of the big time pros, you know, they both are interchangeable cartridge systems. I'm not going to go over how to switch this one out. It involves taking the cover off, some Allen keys, and loosening, taking a belt off, and then taking out the cartridge and putting another one in, readjusting the belt. Does it take a lot of time? Absolutely not. It is, you know, a couple minutes worth of work, you know, to do it. This, on the other hand, this is the new quick change. You just lift up that clip right there. This clip here, pull this back, and then I actually need to reposition here. And then this comes out, and then if you have any other cartridges, I have the Scarfire that will slide right back in. I am not a professional. You see these guys on TV or the YouTube do it, you know. I don't want to cut myself. You wear gloves when you do this stuff, but it goes right back in, and we're done switching out your cartridge. So if you want the Scarfire Verticutter brush, you can do it real fast. The speed of this machine is unreal. This one can go fast. This one is faster, and we can really cover some ground with it. This, though, is a 20-inch. This is a 22-inch. So, I mean, it's not like it's going to save you a pass. You'd have to do at least like 10 passes in order to save one pass, you know. But this thing is a lot faster. And honestly, I do think that this thing has a better cut than the Swardman. But I also have, for some reason, when I use this thing, I get a rippling effect a little with this, but I think I'm going too low. I need a 10 blade with this, whereas I have gone low with this 6 blade, and this thing is, it doesn't ripple. It's fantastic. Both of these come standard also with a smooth roller. I purchased the grooved front roller for these. And because since they're lighter machines, they're not like a Greensmaster, these both tend to float around when you're cutting. So your stripes are kind of like oddball. And these grooved rollers really help keep the machine straight to get a really nice straight line. So the rear drum on this thing, mine is mint. It is black. I use a furniture dolly to transport this thing back and forth, as you can see here. Once again, I don't like the sound of it going across the cement. I know it ruins some of my stripes when I go back and forth, but they advertise this thing. If you've looked online at all, they show people like taking this thing and backing it up to steps over in the UK and lifting it up and like banging the hell out of this drum. And yes, this drum can take a beating. The black fades away, and then you start to see the actual metal. It gets a little bit of rust on there or whatever. It comes off when you're cutting. But that is definitely something you cannot do that with the Swardman. You can't be hauling this up steps, or if you have like my garage, I have like a tiny lip from the driveway sinking. There's no way that I'm going to be pounding that drum up against that step. Whereas with this thing, I totally can, and it's very durable. Another thing. Positive with this is Ego technology, you know, to do adjust the for how tall you are or however you want to move this thing up and down. This involves, you got to use this little pouch here, and you got to adjust some of these screws that are along here and down there to raise this thing up and down. Whereas with the Allett, we have Ego technology. This thing, you're tall, come on up. And then let's say you're even taller than this, you can bring it up high like you're driving a freaking bus like this. Look how, I mean, like, it makes me feel real little, but yeah, that's, and then if you're real small, you know, and a lot of times I mow like this anyways, but yeah, you can make it for if you were, you know, a tiny little person. So that's awesome. And with the Ego technology, this, let me bring it up closer. We have this adjusts your speed. We have these little thumb triggers, just like your normal Ego mower. These right here adjust the speed, and then now you just push the power button and you're mowing. Now with the Electra, this thing, I have it set on slow mode. You notice that when we're using the Ego, you heard that winding noise. You do get that when you're cutting, but these are the controls. All right, so as you can see here, we have the increased speed. This thing actually has reverse. And then, you know, these are these little floaty paddles here that make the machine go. And, you know, to get this thing moving, you hit the OK button, the thing lights up, and then now we're moving. And this thing can move a lot faster by pushing the, let me bend this down here, this increase speed button here, and then we can start to move a lot faster if we want. And then also, well, here, show you this thing. When you get up close to the wall, you push a button and it backs up for you. All right, adjusting the height of cut on these things, it's not too bad. The Allett is obviously easier. We have a gauge on the side here, and then we have this little twisty knob, and we go down in millimeters or inches. And that is how you adjust that. But when we have to do this one, we got to go in our little pouch up here. We get our Allen wrench. We have to come over here on the side and we loosen this. It is now free. Then we come back over. We are going to unclamp this. And then now there's a measuring in inches and millimeters here. And then now we can adjust our height. And then once we find what we want, we'll say 3/4. Now we got it set right there. You have to come back over. Tighten her up. And then now that is how we adjust. And then we got to go back to our little cute little pouch purse here. And now we're set at 3/4 of an inch. So that is how we adjust the height of cut. All right, and to finish up a lot of the pros with the Allett, you know, it's a mean looking machine. You know, they put this thing through a lot of testing, and this thing can really take a beating. Like, you can beat the heck out of this thing. And this one, I have not taken, I haven't seen Swardman, you know, take it to a bunch of, you know, through testings. Like, this thing's like goes through like a Rolls Royce type testing. You know, they put this thing on all types of cricket pitches and bowling greens, and you know, they really put this thing to work and compared it up to some of their, you know, professional grade machines. So, you know, as a residential, this thing, like, I am confident that this thing will last. You know, this one, not so sure. You know, I've seen a lot of complaints in forums about this thing, like little things breaking in here, you know, but also there's a huge cost difference here. So, but let's get to some of the cons on the Allett. All right, so one con with the Allett is that they paint their reels, and you know, obviously this one's black on the Swardman, but when you look here, I had this for half a season or so, and the paint comes off, and like, you can see that it's like flaking, it flakes off. And you know, you're spending all this money on this machine, and you know, yes, it's pretty that it's painted red, but I mean, like, here's a real big one, right there. You know, and you can see right here, look at, I'm peeling it off. I just peeled some off. So, you know, by the time you're done, the reel, it looks like crap, you know, and they should almost not paint it red. and just leave it plain, you know, kind of like how Toro does it, or how this one's just, you know, just steel, you know, like you pay money and it's red, and then all of a sudden it just like, you want it to be aesthetically pleasing, but it's not, you know, like it looks good when you first get it, but then after you clean it a couple times, the paint starts to chip off, and then you're like, oh, am I doing something wrong with it? And it's like, no, the Stirling, or the Liberty, that was coming off on me. Like by the time I was done with that thing, like almost like half the paint was off it, and like this right here, all the paint's coming off it already. Another issue with the Allett is support. After the first one I got, did not have this. Now all of them come standard. It is this right here, this plate right here is a support in here, because when I was running this machine, and I would take turns, any kind of up and down with this thing, you would hear this like weird vibration noise. Here, let me show you. It still does it a little bit. All right, so when we're running it, it's like, hear it? It's not a big deal. Like it sounds like it's like doing some sort of damage, but it's not. It's like there's just some kind of rubbing noise. But here's the thing: my yard is on a slope, so you know when we're doing testing on this thing, we're taking it out to cricket pitches and soccer fields, and those things are perfectly flat. And if you have your typical house that is level, you know, and I'm not even saying like a smooth pool table. It can be bumpy, and that's not a problem. Like on camera, you can't tell, but my lawn's on a slope. So as I am going, when I'm going down, there's no, as I'm going down, there's no problem. But it is when I'm going back up, and I give a kind of, not necessarily a push, but when I'm going up, it has that. Whereas when we bring over our buddy Carmen here, when we are going, ooh, listen how quiet that is. I'm going up. There's nothing. Okay, reporting live from Southeast Michigan. So I have this microphone here, and I'm going to show you how loud these machines are. This is the Swordman is the quietest machine I mean, it's quieter than a manual reel mower. It is so silent. And this Allett is not really loud, but you know, like I said, this is what I thought it would sound like when I bought an electric, and it's just unbelievable. So I'm gonna go by so you can see I'm not altering anything. So I'm gonna set this right here. Okay, so the sun is coming in on this angle, so we're going to try to cut a few stripes here, and I'm going to show you the performance, but also the striping problem with this thing. Okay, so you can see, get out of the light, you can see the stripe that goes along here, okay? But if you look, it's kind of faded along here, and it's because I don't have a perfectly level lawn and I'm on a slope. What happens is, if you look, it gets lighter right there. That is because as I'm cutting, you can even see right here, you see the grass. Let me pull this up a little bit. Look at, you see how it's touching? This is producing its own stripe. So as I am going down, depending on where I'm at, like if I come across, I forgot what direction. Dang it, I forgot what direction I was going in. But anyways, as I'm going like this is scraping the grass right here. So it's kind of ruining the stripe. And from what I heard, I have this thing all latched on, but people will mow with, will it come off? Do I got it? No, I think I got it screwed in. No, I don't. You got to take the side off, and then now when we're mowing, that back end isn't touching, and now we can get a perfect stripe with this thing. Now, once again, does this happen to everybody? No. I've talked to a lot of other Swordman owners. They do not have this problem, but I think it's due to the fact that I have a slope, or also I'm cutting at around like 3/4 of an inch to 1/2 an inch, and you know, it's that bottom part is tickling sometimes. So every once in a while I'll see like an odd stripe, whereas with the Allett, that does not do that. But I'll just cut a few stripes here with the Allett just so you can see the performance of it. This is set at a little bit lower of a height of cut. And as you can see, you know, I kind of messed up. Those are Allett. Swordman has fatter stripes, but also that what really contributes to is that on this, there's also a rake. Here, I'm gonna have to take you guys off. This rake combs the grass, so this helps stand up the grass. This rakes through it. Kind of as we cut it, we're bending it, and then it gets matted down by the rear drum, and then that's how Allett can get stripes like this. Yeah, nothing stripes like an Allett. No Toro, no nothing. Nothing stripes like that machine. All right, here we go. Here's the battle. The cartridge exchange system is more efficient with this one. That is for sure. And it is a space saver when it comes to storing. So, you know, that goes to Allett. You know, this does have the cartridge system, but I mean, it depends. It's a few minutes, you know, to switch it out. It's not really that difficult, but this is like boom, boom, you can get it out real fast. So convenience wise, goes to this. Now here's the big one, cost. Okay, so right now, when it comes to a Allett Scarifying cartridge for a 20-inch, opposed to a 22-inch Scarifying cartridge for the Electra, this one's $539, this one's $399. The 10-blade for this machine is $869 US dollars, $579 US dollars. And the Verticutter for this machine is $749, and this is $279. So when getting accessories for these machines, there's a huge price difference. So this right here, this setup with the grooved front roller, shipped out, no battery and chargers included with this thing, is $6,561. Okay, that's pretty expensive. And then when you add in a battery, a 5 amp hour battery, and when you had a 5 amp hour battery and the rapid charger, because you're gonna want the rapid charger, you know, we're looking at just shy of $7,000 to get this machine with a battery and a charger. That is a pretty penny. Now with this comes with the battery and a charger, the 6 blade, And then I got the grooved roller with it. Shipped out, this is $4,136. So this is almost like a $3,000 price difference. So, you know, when people are all like, oh yeah, this is junk, this is better, you know, these are two totally different types of machines here. Okay, so what's the verdict? Allett. Allett wins hands down. You know, it tops off in some of the major categories. But the thing is, it costs twice as much as this. This thing is $4 grand. This is $7 grand. You know, that's pretty crazy. And when it comes to the cartridge system, you know, these are almost half the price as these. And this is a 22-inch and this is a 20-inch. So it depends on what you're looking for. You know, are you looking for something that's really pretty, aesthetically pleasing, and gets the job done, and it's quiet, and it's above a manual reel mower with a cartridge system that you can get, you know, scarifying. You don't need to buy all kinds of other machines. This is a machine for you, and it's just so quiet. It's peaceful. I can mow my lawn and talk to my wife and my kids while I'm mowing. This one, this is different. This is a workhorse. This thing's been tested like a Rolls Royce, beat to hell out on professional soccer fields and everything. And like, this thing can take a beating. If you have lots of square footage, you know, even though it's, you know, this is 22-inch, this is 20. If you have more square footage, like, this thing's faster, and this thing can just take it, you know, and that's what you're paying for is, you know, that's why it beats it out, you know, in a lot of categories. But, you know, it all depends on what you're looking for. Residential, like, we're doing residential here. It's like, this is almost the mower for you. You know, but it ruins my stripe with this back end, you know, so that's a huge thing to think about. And then cost-wise, you know, I mean, dude, they're both expensive, but this is, you know, this one's outrageous. If you're really wanting to get into reel mowing and you don't want to use a manual reel mower, go on Facebook Marketplace, call some of your local golf courses. That's what I did. And I got myself a Greensmaster 1000, and I picked that up for like $800. Thing was perfectly fine. Cut like a gem. But the thing is, my yard's too small. By the time I got up to full speed, I'd have to hit the brake on it. So it was like, it didn't make sense for me to have that. So I got rid of it to a popular YouTuber. His name's Lawn Pusher. This guy's famous. But yeah, you know, if you found this helpful, you know, hit the subscribe button, hit the thumbs up, share it to all your other reel mowing buddies. But I mean, these both are unnecessary. You can achieve awesomeness with a manual reel mower. You really can, but you can't get stripes. You know, you can go this route, but this is more residential. I think this is more for professional stuff. But I mean, you know, I love both of them. And once again, I bought both these machines. You know, I don't work with these companies. Like, this company doesn't pay me or anything like that. So, you know, this is my honest opinion. And, you know, I'm just a grass guy. I'm obsessed with machines. I got more mowers in there, but cool. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I know it was a long one. Hit the subscribe button, and I love you guys. I'll see you. Peace. Definitely quick. Oh, that's what I got to do to save the drum. This is max speed. Do you really need to go any faster than this? Listen how quiet it is. Ugh. This sucks. Look how dumb this is.